If you're struggling with hair loss as a female, you're not alone. It can be extremely frustrating, and for women dealing with it in their 30s, 40s, or even later. But there's the thing. It's not just about slapping on a topical treatment like popping more biotin pills or using rosemary. The important thing you need to do is dig deep, and we need to find the underlying causes of your hair loss. So today, I want to break down some key factors behind hair loss in women, and I'm going to give you some actionable insights that can actually help you and your hair on this journey. So let's get into it. Let's talk about one of the first major culprits of hair loss, and this is low thyroid function. When your thyroid is underactive, it can wreak havoc on your hair follicles. Your thyroid hormones are essential for hair growth, so if your levels are low, your hair can start to thin out and it gets more brittle and dry. So hypothyroidism is one of the top reasons women experience hair thinning. If you've been feeling sluggish or gaining weight, it might be worth checking with your doctor and getting your thyroid levels checked. Next up is low iron and anemia. If your diet is low in iron, you're not absorbing iron properly, or you're losing too much iron because of heavy periods, this can seriously impact your hair. Iron helps carry oxygen to your hair follicles, and without enough of it, your hair is going to suffer. This is a very simple blood test, so you can get your iron checked, your ferritin checked, and determine if you're low. So definitely ask to make sure you get your iron levels checked. Now here's something a lot of people don't realize is that excess calorie restriction, cutting too many calories too drastically, this could be depriving your body of the nutrients that it needs to keep your hair growing. And when your body is under stress from starvation, it prioritizes your vital organs over the non-essential functions like hair. This could be a hidden cause of hair loss. So if you've been on a really restrictive diet for an extended period of time and not getting enough calories, be aware of that. Next is medication. Certain drugs like antibiotics, antidepressants, and some birth control pills can actually contribute to hair loss as a side effect. If you notice that your hair thinning started around 3 to 6 months after starting a medication, it's definitely worth discussing this with your prescriber, and you really should do some of that research on your own to see if hair loss is a listed side effect of the medication that you're taking so you don't get missed. You might not even realize that a simple medication could be the culprit. Moving on to something called androgen excess. This is commonly seen in PCOS, but you also see it a lot during perimenopause. Both of these conditions can cause a shift in hormones, leading to what's known as male pattern hair loss in females, where the top of your hair thins out at your part. And then with PCOS in particular, it involves high levels of androgens or male hormones, which can mess with the hair growth cycle. We also want to talk about progesterone. This hormone plays a huge role in stimulating hair growth, so the hair growth phase. When progesterone levels are elevated, like during pregnancy, women experience some of the best, most full, thick hair that they've ever had. But as progesterone levels drop, especially during perimenopause, your hair may lose its fullness and begin to thin. This drop in progesterone, it's one of the less talked about, but it's a critical factor when it comes to hormonal hair loss. We also need to talk about stress. Stress and cortisol. We all know that stress is a killer, right? Well, high cortisol levels, which are released during stressful periods, can disrupt your hair's natural growth cycle. This results in excessive shedding and thinning hair. So stress-induced hair loss can happen when your hair follicles enter what's called a telogen phase. This is basically, think of it as like the death phase for your hair. And it enters too soon, causing them to fall out more easily. Another factor is celiac disease and food sensitivities. These may also be to blame. When your body reacts to gluten or other food triggers, it can cause inflammation that damages the hair follicles. This is particularly true if you're not absorbing nutrients, because this can lead to a different type of, if you're not absorbing the nutrients, you can't get the nourishment for your hair. Also, we want to talk about, could this be leading to autoimmune issues? So food sensitivities can increase autoimmune issues. There could be a separate autoimmune issue, but in this case, you'd have something like alopecia areata, where the immune system attacks the hair follicles and it causes them to fall out more in patches as opposed to the diffuse hair loss. So if you're noticing hair loss in patches instead of general thinning, this could be an autoimmune issue that needs specialized treatment. So what does all of this mean? The key takeaway here is that hair loss in women is often a symptom of another underlying issue. And addressing that root cause, whether it's a hormonal imbalance, a nutrient deficiency, or stress, this will be the key to seeing real improvement in your hair growth. But don't expect overnight results. It typically takes at least 6 months to see the improvements. That's because hair grows in cycles. And while treatments that we've discussed can help slow down shedding, you won't know the full benefits until the full time for your hair to recover. That's because the telogen phase, that phase of hair death, can last from 1 to 4 months. So any hair that had already been moved into that phase cannot be saved during that 1 to 4 months, no matter what treatment you do. So everything you're doing is to prevent and slow down more hair from entering that phase faster. So if you're dealing with hair loss, remember that you're not stuck with it forever. Start by addressing the underlying issues, and you'll give your hair the best chance to grow strong and healthy. Also, be sure to follow perimentalbliss.com on Facebook so you can tune into our live sessions, learn more, and ask questions about perimenopause. Now, if only this advice worked for male pattern hair loss in men.